I was always told when I was younger by my mum that I was quite bossy.
I once read a quote, by the way, don't tell your kid she's bossy, tell her she has leadership skills.
Lisa, do you think anything has been different in your career because you've been a woman?
I think at times it's helped me by being female. We've got quite a big female workforce, but at senior levels there were very far and few between. Because of that, I felt that I didn't really have to do things in the same way as everybody else was doing things.
And you said there was a point in your career where you put on your bold shoes and walked into your MD's office and told him you wanted his job.
The evening before, I was discussing with my husband, our director of finance will leave the company. And he was really like, why don't you take that job? The moment that I decided, well, let's go to the office of the managing director and say, why don't you give me that job? And the fact probably that they reacted so positively to me gave me probably strength also in the rest of my career.
Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your time at Clarion?
I've been there now for 15 years and it's grown tenfold.
And what has Blackstone's role been in that journey and in your journey?
The support of Blackstone's enabled us to accelerate that growth over those years. We've made a number of very targeted and very high quality acquisitions along the way.
And Julie, could you tell us a little bit about how you got to DESOTEC?
Well, I started in 2018 as a CFO and recently took up the CEO position with ambitious growth plans now that Blackstone is together with us. The good thing about Blackstone is that they really partner with us without being disruptive.
Lisa, what's the one thing you know now that you wished you'd known when you started out on your career journey?
Trust your instincts and speak up. You sit and listen in meetings and you've got a view, but I didn't always speak up about what that view was, and that would be thoughts, ideas, suggestions, observations, but didn't always have the confidence to voice them.
Yeah, I wish somebody had told me at the start, don't try to be perfect in everything you do. If I would have realized that earlier, that would have made my life easier at the start, I think.
Lisa, you have 2 children. How have you made it work?
In the early years, it was a juggle. When I had my daughter, I did come back to work part-time, but I soon realised that I was working part-time hours officially, but working a full-time role unofficially, and I found that quite tough.
Julie, what does work-life balance look like for you?
It's not an easy one. I love to work. I love to feel successful and be successful, and achieving the results is important to me. But on the other hand, I love to spend time as well with my family. So I've learned along the way to block really time in my agenda.
With children or without children, finding that balance is never easy to do so, and it's always a work in progress, I think.
So Julie, you have 3 daughters. How do you think the landscape for them starting their careers will be different than it was for you when you were starting out?
I do believe for them, by having a role model, it will change, because they will immediately see that whatever you want in life, it is possible. If we look at the landscape in general, I think diversity is something more and more companies realize that it's kind of a must-have in order to have a successful growth trajectory.
What advice do you give to your daughter and her friends about how they can become leaders?
It's really interesting because I don't think they've got the fear that perhaps that we once had. The expectation from that generation, I think, is so different. But I would just say, do what you'd love to do, because if you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to be great at it.
Do you think we'll ever reach the point of 50-50 equality, both at the executive and non-executive level?
I am optimistic, but I think my hesitation will be around when. I do think it's changing. For us based in Europe, it was also good to see that actually in the 10 top countries, they were all European in terms of those countries that were leading the way.
No, and clearly it's a big priority for us at Blackstone to bring a lot more diversity at the executive and non-executive level. And I have to say, from my own experience, some of my own portfolio companies where we've brought in women onto the board, it's amazing how much of a difference it makes in terms of difference of perspectives, but also the way that they handle certain types of conversations.
Organisations are now becoming much more purpose orientated, and that offers up huge opportunities for diverse, either minorities or females, to take and assume leadership positions.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Julie, very much for taking the time out of running your companies to come and have the discussion today. It's been really fascinating to get your insights.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.